Hi there, we're back at Engineering Graphics and Design, and today I would like to show you how to divide the given line AB into 7 equal parts. Now, as you can see, my line AB is given to me. Sometimes it can be given to you as a measurement, and then you've got to go and draw AB. But this line that I've drawn over here is at any angle. And what I do then is I go and step off 7 because it must be divided into 7 equal parts. I step off 7 equal parts on that line. So in other words, I can use 5 millimeters as a unit or 10 millimeters. So the total distance, if it's 10, from there to there would be 70, and so on. The next step is the important part, and what you have to do here is to line up number 7 to B. And I will do this like this and actually draw a line so that you can see that it lines up. The next step that I will do is I will take my T-square or ruler or another set square, and we're now going to apply the sliding set square method, which is going to have two straight lines so that you can slide the one on top of the other one. Now in this case here, I'm using my ruler. 7 to B must be lined up, and then I hold the ruler down and I slide. If there's any discrepancy, rather go back. Let me just get this the other way around so it doesn't slip over my ruler. I line up that 7 to B and make sure that that stays in line. And then while I hold the ruler down, I slide this to get to number 6 and draw a line, and so on. Slide to number 5 by holding the ruler down all the time. Number 4. And because I wrote down the numbers, that also remind me of the amount of divisions that I've got to mark off. So if by some unforeseen reason your ruler slips or something like that, then what you do, you go back to 7B, line up 7B with your set square, or in this case the set square, and the ruler will just be the guide underneath. I do that every time it moves out of position. I will have to go back to 7 and line it up. I now slide it, and in this case here I just need to move it a little bit further down so that it doesn't get stuck on the thing, on the actual laptop. So I'll go back to 7B, make sure that it is lined up, and then slide my set square again until it is in line with 3 and drawing the line. And normally you will be able to see quite clearly whether that line is not parallel to 7B, but sometimes they take a bit of practice to get that right. And number 1, let's just get the point there. There's the point. Just to make sure that I'm still on the right track. Go back to 7B, slide it until number 1, and draw the line. And there my line is now divided into 7 equal parts. Okay, you will get marks for the numbering. You'll get marks for this slanted line. You'll get a mark for 7 to B. That's your main line. And then obviously to see whether your sliding set square method was done properly. Now the next one is divide the line into a ratio of 2, 4, 6. Remember, they can give you any ratio, 1 to 3, 1 to 5, and it will be written down on the question paper, and you've got to follow that. Now, the first thing that I would do is I do exactly the same on the second one as what I did on the previous one, and that is to draw a slanted line. I just need to get this a little bit closer. Slanted line. And on that line, I now have to do a little calculation before I can actually continue with the construction. And I've written it down here, 2, 4, 6, that's your ratio. So you have to add up those numbers to get 12. So that means instead of 7 like we did in the previous one, we now have 12 divisions. So you divide this line or mark off 12 equal parts on that line. And again, it can be 10 millimeters, 5 millimeters, whichever. You can use your compass to set off those 12 divisions. But the rest is exactly the same as what we did for the previous one. We line up this time not 7 to B or to T in this case, but 12 to T. So I put my pencil on the end of the line up with 12, and draw the line. But for this ratio one, we're now actually going to work backwards. We're going to count from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because the ratio says 6. So once I've done that, I've determined that I've got to go to 0.6 on that, or not 0.6, number 6. And what that means is I slide my ruler and then my t-square on top of that, or not t-square, set square, line it up again because it moved. In this case I have to get a thicker ruler because the paper is a little bit thicker than, there we go. So line it up with that 12 to T again. There we go. And then go to 6. Now 6 is the first part of the ratio, or in this case the last part, but we're drawing that at first. 6. Then we will go to 4. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4. Line it up, still parallel to 12T, and we should be left with 2, and because the ratio is 2. So that's actually a method of checking whether your answer is correct. I just want to make that a little bit more accurate. So I've got to just go over those lines quickly. And here, but the marks are there. You can see the one mark there. So I'm going to go back to my rulers, set my rulers up. In this case, just at 1. Go back to 12T. Go back to 12T, line it up. There we go. Hold that down. Push the ruler up against it and slide till you get to 2 and draw the line. Hopefully this time we'll do it a bit more accurate. There we go. What I would do now, just to make sure that whoever is marking this can see that I have divided it into my ratio, I would put number 6 there, number 4 there, because those are the 4 ratios, 4 different units to make up the 4 in the ratio. So there's 2, 4, 6 and T. Right, in the next one that I want to do with you is enlarging of a given figure. So they normally refer to it as enlarging and reducing of a figure. But the first one is to enlarge it. And in this case here, there's the figure that they've given me, and I want to enlarge it. Now, the first part of the construction is very similar to the ratio and the dividing a line into 7 equal parts. So I'd still draw a line at the bottom at any angle to the base of the object that I'm going to enlarge. And this time I'm going to step off 10 units, and as I go along I'll explain to you why there's 10. We want to make that into 10 equal units, and it actually becomes 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1 unit. So it's 1 unit, but the 1 unit is divided into smaller units. Now, once I've done that, the next step to do is to extend from the corner, extend the lines through each of these other corners. So I'll go from the same corner, extend, and extend that one. I can make this one a little bit darker. There we go. And this one will obviously be vertical up there. Right. There's our extension lines. Now, what we want to do here is again 10 to the end of the figure, the end of the baseline of that figure. That's the important one. So I draw that in. And now we've got to go and look at what the question says. The question says to enlarge this figure to 1.5 of the original size. Or sometimes they can put a question like this. Enlarge by 0.5 of original size. So you're going to, in both these cases, you'll get to 1.5. So how are we going to get to 1.5? We're going to extend this line, and we're going to measure off. I'm going to use my compass, and it says 1.5. It means I've got to take 5 of these units and add it to 1. So there, I'll set my compass to that point, and from 1 I use that there. It's going through the figure, but I can still see it, and it's 1.5. Now what I have to do is I have to line up my set square to the line from 10 to the end of the figure, and then I must slide from 1.5 parallel to 10, and there I've enlarged this line by 1.5 or to 1.5 of the original size. The next one is to line up that there, hold my ruler underneath, move it, slide it till it's in line with that point. So each time you're going to draw a line parallel to the given figure. In that case it's there. The next one will be to line up your set square and ruler with that line. Hold the ruler down again and move it to in line with that point. There we go. Now I've got to do a vertical line, or sometimes it looks like a vertical line but might not be a vertical line, so the angle must be determined by lining it up with that little line. Then drawing that line up there, I forgot to extend that corner, so to get where that corner goes through there, I need to draw that there. So from there, let's just redo that. From there, that's not good. From there we're going to go through there. and that will give us the extended line for that line. And here you go to line that up. Always go back to the line that you want to copy or to use as you're enlarging, from there to there. Now I've got to line up my set square with that there. Make sure it doesn't slip in underneath your ruler or underneath your other set square, and from there take it there. And there, if I can just go and make that a little bit darker, and this line a bit darker, there is my shape enlarged to is enlarged to 1.5 of the original size. The original size was 1 unit, and now we're enlarging it to 1.5 of the original size. Now if I said by 0.5, I would have taken 5 units and added it on. So that's just the two ways that they normally put that question to you. So just be aware of the fact that it will, in this case here, it will come to the same. But if I said enlarge to 1.6 of the original size, then I would have taken 6 units, marked it off here, and that would have given me the enlargement. If I said reduce or not reduce, enlarge by 0.4, then I would have taken 0.4 and added it on, because we're adding by 0.4 onto your 1 unit. Okay, and that gives you the enlarging of a figure. The next one is reducing. In this case here, I've done more or less the same figure, but I want to reduce it this time. And in this case here, the figure is obviously bigger, but I want to reduce it, and in this case I'm going to reduce it to 0.6. Now the rest of it is exactly the same as dividing a line into 7 equal parts into a ratio. The last point, which is in this case, because it's enlarging and reducing, I've got 10 points, which works to 1 unit. I line up, I'll get the last point and 10. I line those points up with each other. There we go. Hold my set square down, hold my ruler in position, make sure that, and I go to 0.6 because it says reduce to 0.6 of the original size. I've lined it up and I draw the line. Now that means that this line is now reduced by 0.4, because I've taken 4 off to get to 0.6. 2, you go to the point, by you subtract. Now I've got to line up my set square with that line, hold my ruler down at the bottom of the set square. Let's see if I can do this the other way around. There we go, set it up nicely, accurate, then slide it to that point. Okay, but what have I forgotten? I've forgotten to draw my corners from there so that I can see where it crosses the line, and from there I can then extend it or continue with the reducing of the figure. So don't forget, that's the one step I've missed here, or just didn't do it at the beginning. You do it exactly the same as what you did for the previous drawing. So from the corner here through all the lines. I don't have to do the last one because it will cut that line somewhere. So what I do now is I set up my set square to that line, line it up with this line. Let's just get those lines sorted out again. Remember, you've got to try and do your lines as accurately as possible. So that line there is parallel to this line, this one and that one's parallel to each other. There we go. Let's just do this line a bit darker so you can pick it up. There we go. And this one, line it up with that. Hold your ruler underneath and slide it so that this is, as this ruler down as this. Let's just do it that way. There we go. Line it up with the ruler. Now this look as though it's off. There we go. Line it up, draw the line, go to the next line, line it up, there we go, and there's my final line to reduce the figure. There's the smaller version. I've reduced it 2.6 of the original size, or I've reduced it by 0.4. So just make sure that you understand that concept there. That here you go straight to the point. If it says 2.6, you go straight to the point. If it says by 0.4 or by 0.3, then obviously you go to 7. If it's 4, 6, and so on. Thank you. That's the end of today's lesson.